Welcome to EMS Underground, brought to you by Georgia Institute of EMS. I am Charles McFall, and up there in the little corner, let's make it even now. Up here, in the middle slice of pie is Douglas Spencer, and because he sponsors the show, and I can't say no. Tom Kamplain.
That's me.
Actually, Tom, you brought the topic today, and I thought, dude, you've got to be on to talk about this. This is
we have
to have. But before we get into all that, we need to tell everybody that the next 2 weeks, there'll probably be no podcast, no live recording. We might squeeze a little fun thing out, but Tom and I both are back up to Marietta for 2 weeks to do some training. We're teaching some firefighters. There's a great group of firefighters up there. They've got a great group of people at the base in Marietta. So we're going up to teach some firefighters some continuing education, and that just takes precedence, unfortunately.
Yes.
So.
Well, we got to get them taken care of, So,
yep,
they're a pretty elite group up there. So,
they're very specialized in what they do.
They are.
Douglas. Actually, I used you as a reference. I talked to you about how you learned how to build airplanes and this and that and the other, but then you couldn't go do it because you failed or something. I don't remember what happened. But I referenced it like you build them.
I thought that was you, Charles.
No, I just let my stuff go. I succeeded in everything. I was like, I'm too much of a diva. I don't need it anymore.
I got you.
But so if planes crash, they have to put out the fires and all that jazz. It's really pretty impressive. And Jason's mad because we're not at the base where we were last time, and we're at a whole different building and a big area that we could teach in better. But he's mad because the fire trucks aren't there, so he can't drive the fire truck on the tarmac like he did last time. There's that. But the topic today, there's Firefighter Chronicles is a guy you should follow, in my opinion.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you know him? Or not know him, but you know of his work? Yeah.
He is awesome.
He's pretty amazing. And he does some really great commentary on the fire and EMS world. He's very funny. We've posted his TikToks and videos up on our page from time to time, saying, "Hey, Lincoln, thank you for coming out today, Nathan Lincoln." But everybody should check him out. He's funny, and he actually came across some article that was entitled "EMTs Don't Deserve Anything," I think is what it was called. And there's 3 points in there that he pulls out of the article. I was like, "All right, cool."
Oh yeah.
He didn't reference where the article was, so I couldn't go read it. But these are great debatable points that we
need to find that article because that Joker it's got me fired up. So yeah, I'm hot. Yeah. I'm ready to let loose.
So we went from 5 points to 4 points. Now we're down to
I didn't say 4. I said 5 and then 3. But we'll make a difference, sir.
Well,
point number 1: when you're a firefighter, obviously you're an asshole. So representing the fire assholes of the world. Nathan said he saw that video.
Yeah.
So he's very entertaining. The Firefighter Chronicles guy is super entertaining.
Are we going to play it?
He actually tones down his anger. Well, you know what? I'll find it and I'll play it at the end of this so everybody can see it. So at the end of our video, the audio will be on the podcast version. And there's the thing. Sometimes the podcasts don't show up, mostly because we don't do them. Yeah, the last big gap. There was a gap between August 26th and September 26th, and that was basically because we were doing training.
Well, did you write down the points because I done forgot most of them?
I did one better. I got it where we're gonna pop it on the screen.
All right.
So everybody will see the point as we discuss it. But the question of the day is: do EMTs deserve nothing or anything or everything? Right. So I think the word "deserve" is going to be.
I think you deserve what you get.
Right off, yeah.
But you do deserve something. Come on.
Do you? But we'll get into it. Let's get into the first.
Yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into it. I'm ready to go.
All right. Point number 1.
Yeah, 1.1.
As EMTs, we don't deserve anything. And quote, we opted in knowing what we were getting. We opted in knowing what we were getting into.
I told you.
Now, Tom, you've been doing this since they paid EMTs $1 an hour. So, yeah, things have changed a lot.
Yeah, okay. It was $5.25 an hour. I'm not quite like Charles Phillips. I'm not Charles Phillips.
I started at $5.25 an hour. I guarantee you got paid less.
It was $5.25 an hour for a long time. I started back in. Well, you got to realize I was in the Army when I started, so I don't know what I was getting paid an hour back then. I mean, to be honest with you. So I started in the civilian world like in late '95, early '96, in the civilian world, and at that time, the minimum wage was $5 an hour, and I think I made $5.25 an hour is what I made.
I gotcha. So, but
and I got a pay raise when they raised it. Remember, they raised it to $5.25, and then I got paid $5.50 an hour.
Okay, I got a pay raise when I went to national from where I'd started, and then when I got a little bit of cost of living, then I got a medic raise. Now here's my medic raise. I went from like almost $7, somewhere in the $7 range. I got basically $1.
Right.
Whatever that dollar was, it bumped me up to just over $8 an hour. As a paramedic, I was like, woohoo! And that was in 2000, everybody, or 2001. Just past 2000, February 2001, I think I passed my test and got it. And it's like, holy cow, man. So the question is, do you deserve better pay as EMTs?
Well, first,
medics, all of them.
Everybody's met. Let me ask you this: at what point? I mean, did when you went to school, did your instructor go up there and say, "Hey, everybody, welcome to EMT school. Let me get something straight to begin with. Your pay's gonna effing suck. Why are you here?"
Have you met Glenn Henry?
Yeah,
he was my EMT instructor, and that's almost exactly what he said.
Well, then you get what you deserve, dang it. You get it. That's what you get. You knew what you were getting into. You don't get into this for the money. Yeah, I remember hearing like, oh, this isn't all about the money. But hell, do doctors not feel that way the same way? Because hell, when they become doctors, they got like, $300,000 worth of student loans, and they ain't getting. I mean, they might make $200,000 a year, but heck, half that a year is going to student loans and interest for how many years? So, do they not deserve any more? Do we not deserve any more? Really?
We deserve the word deserve. Does anybody deserve get paid? Do you deserve good employees? So my argument has always been, if you want good employees, you have a high standard, but you pay a decent wage.
Yeah, the better you pay, the better you're going to get. I would agree with that, but then I hired you, so I don't know. What the
heck? Douglas, weigh in here, man. You've done the EMT thing, you've done the firefighter thing, you've done the super chief thing, you've done all kind of things. Do you do EMT? Do we deserve? Because of what we do we deserve better pay than, say, going to Walmart? Or somebody was just posting, Amazon, somebody was just posting $15 an hour base pay. Come work for us. Well, I know you make 10.
Best Buy is now doing $15 an hour.
Okay.
So is Target, and so is Staples, our Office Depot. There's a whole list of people, and Walmart's up in their rates as well. Amazon's another one that's doing the minimum of $15 an hour.
That's a huge competition, Douglas. When I'm not making this, but when I'm making $12, $13 an hour as an EMT, I can go to Amazon or Walmart or somebody at Best Buy. I would love Best Buy. Discounts galore, and you
heck yeah,
all the time.
Heck yeah. We know somebody that works at Best Buy, and he got. I wished I had that discount.
What do you think, Douglas?
I think you're comparing apples and oranges. All those companies that you mentioned are private companies, and so they work on supply and demand. If you're willing to pay prices for whatever it is that they're selling, then they can afford to pay whatever they want to pay to employees. If you flip it over to look at public safety in general, it's tax based, and so you're looking at municipalities or small government entities that are losing money on it.
I don't know about that. I know a lot of municipalities that make money off their EMS agencies to fund everything else.
You're gonna straight face it there,
and they got 2 trucks on the road. and they're making money.
You're going to tell me that EMS, 'cause I don't know how fire might could bill or being reimbursed or anything like that, but EMS in Oglethorpe County, you're telling me that the budget they have for their service, which I know you know what it is, because you're in all of the, you got your fingers in all those pies, is more or even to than what they bill and bring in from insurance, like actually bring in from insurance?
So Oglethorpe County EMS operates at a deficit. They do not bill as much as they spend.
That is unusual.
Now that's the term. They don't bill as much as they spend, but not everywhere has the same payer base. I understand it. And just like you were saying, there is supply and demand. There's the market value. But I'm sorry, in Atlanta and even in Newton County and area and part of Athens County, they are they've got a pretty good payer mix.
Well, I mean, okay, so I was not expecting you to say they operated at a loss. I wasn't. So I was in Jasper County.
There are, and he's right. There are services that operate at a loss. There's some places that can only afford volunteers, and if that's the agency that you're working for, and that's what you get, that's what you get. But I mean,
that is fine because you did opt in. You, sir, do not need to work on the truck. None of the three of us need to work on the truck. He basically, I mean, for the pay they're giving him, he essentially volunteers his time to take a shift on holidays and stuff on the truck. But in Jasper County, when I was there, this is years and years and years ago, we had like $1 million budget. That's all they would give us, and we struggled on that because we couldn't get new vehicles and this and that and the other, and we needed them. But we billed and brought in $4 million. So even in Jasper County, at the time, like almost 15,000 people lived in the county.
But they got a very good payer mix.
Yeah, I guess so. Because because that's what I was saying. It's like Jasper County with a very low call volume and a small census base. Your 15,000 is not a lot of people for a big county.
A lot of people on it. But a lot of people have insurance there.
There you go. So there's that. Newton was hospital based. Tom.
Yeah.
They made money off of EMS, right?
For a long time. No. For a long time. Whenever we were there, and like whenever I was your captain and stuff, we were the second most profitable division in the entire hospital behind radiology for a while.
But they did get a stipend from the government.
Well, that all without that, I mean, I don't know how they're doing now because they don't get that stipend. But it's like, okay, so yes, you're right. It is apples, oranges. Amazon has more money. To pay their employees. They do. Best Buy has more money to pay their employees. But just like you said, Charles, if you don't find a way to increase that cost of living or combat that cost of living or give a good wage, what kind of employees are you going to continue to get? Look at what's going on with the public safety stuff now with law enforcement and stuff going on. Look, they're underpaid too.
Yeah.
You get what you get. You get what you pay for. And if you want high quality, you're going to have to pay for it and stuff. And that's where I want to get into, like, whenever we get to about the degree issue.
Yeah, that's the next one that pops up.
Because all right. So we're looking at that payer mix. We're looking at how much, we can pay or whatever. But then you want more from us without giving us more in return.
Counterpoint. Now, I'm going to steal part of your point that you've made in the past, Tom, and I'm going to add it to what I'm trying to say. So Tom's point in the past has been, and I don't remember what city it was, but they'll pay $100,000 retainer to a lawyer just in case. But they'll pay all this money to the higher end, quotey fingers, people who run the cities and the counties. Yeah.
Right.
The CFOs, CEOs, and all this. And granted, they have to have education. They have to make sure things are done right. But if now here's my point.
To work part-time.
I'm trying to to work part-time, if at all. I mean, retainer's not necessarily even working part-time.
Right.
But if I'm trying to put food on my table, do I care about payer base? Do I care about apples and oranges? No. I go, and when I left EMS, I was making 10.25 an hour as a seasoned paramedic when I left EMS full time to go to an office that worked me a whole lot less hours, had no stress whatsoever, and made $18 an hour because I had to put food on my table. So when I'm comparing it, it's wages to wages, not apples to oranges. It's I go to Best Buy and be a Geek Squad guy or something else, and
work 40 hours
not
a
do what I
week
was trained to do, but have fun and work 40 hours a week
in
and
air
make more money.
conditioning. Probably have better benefits.
Oh, you mentioned air conditioning. Yeah. I'm not getting out in the heat, cold, wet.
Sleep every night.
Exactly. What your schedule is.
Now you may get cussed out every now and then at an irate customer, but for the most part, not really. I mean, depending on where you work, you're there helping people.
That's when you pull out the photos you're not supposed to have from a single. Did you die? No, they did though. But did you die? No, it's a computer. Shut up. Get out.
Yeah.
But, so that's the mindset. See, Douglas, I'm glad you brought that point up, because that's the mentality we have to break with the people holding the money. Is like, just because you're in North County, let's default say they're trying to do the best they can. You've got to figure out a different mentality. Go, okay, if we want, now I'm going to reference Jasper County because that was my major rural area that I worked in. If we want medics who actually want to work and not just want to come here to either retire or just have an easy second job that they don't want to do anything and don't care about the people, we got to get it up from $10 an hour from a paramedic. Now they may make more now. I know as an advance, I had to go work it. I have an advance. I picked up a side gig on a non-emergency truck, $15 an hour, easy peasy. That was kind of standard on non-emergency. 911 might not pay me that, but I also don't want to go work 911. So you can hold your money over there. But that's the thing is I was making 10 and people complain now even. And it's like, okay, but on average, I haven't looked it up recently, but I looked it up when I first started at school about 5 years ago. I looked up average Georgia wages for EMT, advanced, and paramedic. And it went from $11 to $12 an hour for EMT basic, $12 to $14 an hour for a EMT, and medic was $16 to $18 an hour median. So that means they took Atlanta into consideration and the most rural of cities in Georgia into consideration. And it also meant out of school with no experience. So that was your ranges for that. And that's why I tell students when they start calling and asking, and at the time, even, especially with before COVID, right? Especially with the economy, hitting as it was, is you could do the gig economy where you can go do Lyft and Uber and those kind of things and maybe hustle more. But if you went to Walmart or McDonald's, and I'm sorry, why are we comparing the lowest common denominator job that seriously anybody can get to EMTs? But that's because the wages were similar. That's why, and it pisses me off. That nothing against McDonald's, but I've seen who applies there. I've seen their hiring practices, and really they don't have much standards because they go, we'll fire you today because we have literally have 15 people out in the lobby here for application day for one position, and we'll pay this much. And we have to break that. Right, Tom?
Yes.
You asked, now this will lead us into the topic too. You asked, does anybody support the movement requiring degrees for paramedics? And Brent DeMark popped in and said, having a degree makes it a profession, making it possible to earn more systemic wide. I agree. I hate that mindset though. That's a BS mindset.
I disagree.
You just that's the mindset now.
I don't think a degree makes it a profession. I think the body of science, I think that the standards that we have and the way that we act is what makes it a profession. I don't think have a degree or a piece of paper is what makes it a profession per se. There are many professions out there that don't require degrees. Like, how many does the fire department require a degree?
Some of them do, but not very many.
Not very many. Well, there's some places that EMS requires degrees. Not very many. And those are backtracked. How many law enforcement agencies do we know of that require a degree? Not a lot. Most of them go to an academy for 6 to 8 weeks, and they're out there at 21 years old. That's one of the reasons why I think there's issues out there.
Yeah, and that I want to get into that. Not right now. I do want to get into that before we leave this topic.
So you've got that. you know, barbers and hairdressers, they're a profession. They don't have degrees. You know, there's a lot of things out there. They're coal miners. That's a profession. They don't have degrees. You know, so I don't think I think it's people are gaslighting us to make us feel like, oh, you got to have this degree.
Yeah. Let's talk about degrees. Where did they come from? Because they have not been around forever. They have not nearly been around as long as doctors have been around. It used to be apprenticeships. It used to be journeymen. You would go and prove your worth to somebody that showed value, a doctor that showed they knew what they were doing, and then they would agree to take you under their wing and show you things. And I don't mind. If you're going to be a doctor, there's a standard, and the degree says you met that standard, right? Or you pass the bar, right? I don't think it's called the bar for doctors, but it's the bar for lawyers, and there's a similar one, MCAT or something. I don't know. There's something for doctors that you have to pass.
They have a lot. The doctors have a lot of them. They have like 5 or 6 they have to go through.
But Brent you asked Brent, do you think employers will pay more if you get a degree? Now I'm going to point it right at you, Brent, as you've answered this in the chat. I'm pointing this at you so you can answer again. Do you think where you work right now, Brent, if you went and got a degree, they would give a crap and give you more money? But to answer Tom's question, they asked, do you think employers will pay more? Brent says, yes, the idea is to make a profession, making it easier to earn more, such as nurses, making it easier to earn money. I just don't think the world's going to work that way. Let's go back to the payer base of Oglethorpe County. They don't have hospitals. They don't have nurses and doctors in that county. Nope. They don't. The medical system in that county, dude. You got to learn airplane mode or do not disturb. Little crescent moon on your phone, Douglas. Do not disturb, so people quit calling you and blacking out your camera. Not airplane mode. They'll kill you. But that crescent moon is your friend. But I disagree, Brent. I don't think most payer bases will care about a degree.
I don't either. And that's the problem is, you know what? I have more degrees than most people, Charles, probably. And I support higher education, but requiring it, not until you put a system in place. Not until a system is in place, ensuring that people are going to get paid these higher wages. What people are trying to do is they're trying to build the lake before they do the dam. And you can't do that. I mean, you really can't do that,
Right. And
you can't stop the flood with the dam, it's not going to happen.
We're a real one. A real story there. But Brent says no, but I could ask this pointedly. But if I want to be in management at my place, I must have a degree. You got that?
But where does he work at? The fire department?
I've seen him on Newton.
Brent, are you
EMS, but I don't remember.
Brent, because I know Piedmont Newton doesn't require a degree. But are you working at the fire department now?
So Dan says we need legislation that makes EMS an essential service. That's a whole different topic.
That is. That's a whole different topic.
We can use that.
But I don't know if that'll help because law enforcement and fire are essential services and they're not getting paid much better.
And Nathan said, and now Brent's probably answering exactly where he was, Nathan. Because I pointedly asked, okay, we got your sticker, Douglas. You can I get you, Dan. But I asked Brent specifically where he worked. So he is hospital-based, Brent says. Nathan, where he works is not necessarily, I don't have a degree and I'm in management. I do know fire, police, and in a lot of cases, EMS, to be higher up management, they do want a degree, which I think is BS. Yeah. A lot of times, Jasper County, when they put out for a director, they wanted any degree. Now, mine's an associate's in business management, but I think Lisa Pope at the time had a different degree. I don't know what it was. Someone make it up. She had like an associate's in art. They didn't care as long as you had a degree.
A degree.
And that's, I know you might argue with me here, Tom. I think that's BS. I think the mentality is supposed to be, well, it showed you went through these steps. Hey, the steps where I showed up, I did my job. I made a reputation for myself in this company. And when you open up the directorship, here's my resume. I made the effort to apply. Take me on my merits.
Well, Brent says if he chooses the director, it's a master's degree. Well, you know what? maybe so, but that's one position in that company. You know, frontline supervisors and the medics on the street, do you need a degree to do that job? I don't think so.
And that's the real example I was going to bring up. You and I, Tom, at the end of last year, 2020 or 2019 rather, we went to the updates on what LMS was going to be, and this and there's an 8-hour update. And David Newton stood. It was at the October, the one that's about to come up. It's October EMS conference in Savannah. And David Newton was doing the presentation on all this other stuff that was LMS and stuff that was coming for the state and this and that and the other. And he said in 5 years, the wording at the time was, we he didn't say we will require paramedics to have a degree. And immediately my hand went up. And that first question, like, he learned my face after that one.
And by the next set of meetings and stuff, they backtracked. They were like, you heard beep, beep.
Yeah,
beep,
because
beep,
my point was, because earlier in that morning, already we had talked about there was a shortage of medics and people were having problems hiring and everybody's working shorthanded. And so when I said, like, wait, you're going to require a degree, which most people aren't going to want to go get, and with a shortage already, with everybody in this room saying they're having a hard time, and there's people nodding with me, and he well, this, well, that. But then, like you said, the next one, we went to a follow-up one. Well, it wasn't a follow-up. It was the same one. We went to a secondary one to see what changed, and they changed the wording on that. We want to encourage and make opportunities for medics because we believe that higher education or more education makes for a better medic. And Douglas, I know Tom's stance, I'm going to let him talk about it. Well, do you believe, Douglas, that more education inherently makes you a better person or medic or somebody able to do your job, supervisor even?
No, I think that if you take someone straight out of college, there's a period of time where they need to develop. Some people use college to do that. Some people do what you referred to as an apprenticeship. I don't think that you can take someone, some people go into the armed services. So, I mean, I don't think college in and of itself is the way to develop character. It's a way. I had a disagreement with a guy from the state fire marshal's office. He was in a firefighter standards and training council meeting, and we were debating whether or not volunteers had to have GEDs, high school diplomas, whether or not you had to have a degree to be an officer. And he said that someone who can't get a high school degree and doesn't have the aptitude to go to college doesn't have the aptitude to be a chief.
Have you met my friend Charles? Although I do have my high school and whatever, but yeah. Anyway, doesn't have the aptitude. See, that's that broken mindset. That's the mindset.
That's that's that Ivy League mindset. Oh, I have a degree, so I'm better than you. A degree doesn't make you better, but I will say this: that a degree can help you a lot. Now, it's a combination of things. It's degree coupled with experience and guidance from those above them in the early years that helps, because I got Charles right here. Charles will be my witness. When I was a captain at Newton, there was days I was an asshole. Can I say that on the air?
There's a lot of days you're an asshole.
Because I came in. I come in, I'm like, get up off your asses and get out there and get that truck checked off. I don't care what you do. Get off now. You know, I was a drill sergeant. I was. My only experience I had in leadership was what I learned in the Army, and that's what I brought with me. Now, I ran a tight ship, and I took care of them just like a sergeant takes care of his soldiers. Charles will tell you that. I made sure they ate. I made sure that they had everything they needed. And I even defended them to higher management to the point where sometimes I was getting in trouble. Am I right, Charles? But I had high standards, didn't I? For everybody.
Yes, you did. I'm blanking because I'm in trouble.
Yeah. To the point where Charles probably tell you, he remembers walking in at 2:00 in the morning. I'm sitting there and say, here's your marker. Work this drug calculation before you go to bed.
See, I didn't have that one. I did not get that one. I got the, oh my God, it's 2:00 in the morning. I came in from a call. I lay down on my bed and I got sprayed in the face with water. And you and James
Hell yeah. We had fun too, right?
But yeah.
We also worked hard, played hard, and stuff like that. But then I started taking college class. I started going towards my college degree. And I got a master's degree in leadership management. I'm totally different now, ain't I, Charles?
Yeah, no, absolutely. You definitely take a different.
I mean, I take a different stance, approach at it. Things are a lot different, and I look at things.
Okay.
Definitely. So yes, a degree to be in management, I think that is very appropriate. But guess what you get when you get into management? A pay raise.
Yeah.
You get more pay, more responsibility, right? More perks as well.
I've always looked at, always not being the exact right term, but I still kind of hold that idea that being a paramedic is a dead-end job. There's nowhere to go, because look at the service you're in right now as you're listening to what we're saying, right? Is when you came in as an EMT. Now there's 3 levels. I came in as an EMTI, so there's 2 levels, and then management. You come in as an EMT, you want to do something. Most people who come to our school talk about, I'll ask them, what got you into it? Well, I like helping people. A relative was in medicine. I've been around medicine for this reason, that reason. For the most people who come and become an EMT,
it's the only test he could pass. He couldn't pass any other test.
Oh, don't bring up passing. I could BS my way through a test. Probably better than both of you combined. I know Douglas can't pass.
I know he passed the registry. Look, I mean,
but a lot of the students want to help people. They've been exposed to medicine, and so you come in going, I want to do good, bright-eyed, and I want to do good in the world. And then you get into it, and you get a little disillusioned. But you're like, you know what? I see the world as it is now. I would like to do more. I'd like to not just deal with the outside of the body and drive, which it just happens that way. You drive a lot, right? As an EMT. I want to do more. And so you go to EMT school, and now you can do more. You can do the airways. You can do the invasive procedures, and you'll still drive some if it's really high end call, or you're more prepared that the firefighter or somebody else can drive you in because you can really do more, right? But you're still bright-eyed. Most paramedics, I think to me, there's 2 paramedics in the world, 2 types. There's the I'm going to change the world, and at that point, you still have it, and you still want to do that. Or there's me. It's like, I'm tired of having assholes tell me what to do when I know better. So I'm going to get my paramedic so I can tell people what to do when I know better, But you want to have more freedom, more thought processes. Once you get the medic, where do you go? Okay, if you go to fire, there's a chain up the road, but it'll take you out of the medic role. If you go to a hospital-based service, there's a chain to Tom's position. Okay, yeah, I can get captain, sure, but then do I want to run this service? No. I don't. That's what I had to look at every service, and that was the top of the chain was, do I want to run this service?
There's nothing in between.
That takes you off the truck.
Yep. Nothing in between.
Yeah. And so do I believe a degree will change that? No. It'll still take you off the truck, and you're going to cap out at running the service.
Right.
Or maybe you'll have some other opportunities that still take you away from, even though I said I got my medic because I was tired of being told what to do. I still wanted to be on the truck. I wanted to help people. I wanted to run the calls and do my skills. I mean, Douglas, look at you. Look at you're a pencil pushing geek right there, man.
But he's a handsome man though.
Yeah, I guess I should shave my head to match you guys to have the balding spots and all that. So let's go to some of the chat. Tom, you put in, I'm willing to support requiring degrees after there's a clear path to ensure higher pay and benefits. And even then, you can't go out and hang your own shingle like a doctor can, but you can go out and I guess start a service, but I mean, that's a different mindset. So that's not a paramedic. Whereas nursing, I don't know. It seems like nursing had more options.
The thing is, once everybody starts getting this is one reason why it would help promote the profession is once you get more people who are higher educated, then maybe we can figure these things out so that they are those other opportunities.
Yeah.
But I'm not willing to tell Brent Brent,
anything because Brent's short and he's
yeah.
evil.
I'm not willing to tell Brent. Brent, you got to go take on $50,000 worth of student loans so that you can come here and you can make $18 an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not willing to. I mean, that's what I don't support. That's one reason why I don't support it, and stuff.
And Brent's laughing at that. And his response to the clear path is, if not having a degree as a medic means I'm basically military. Now, Tom, you were literally military, but basically taking your scenario, then getting a degree in emergency management means I understand everything from dispatch to terrorism makes me a better medic. Because that was your scenario that you said. You were kind of a hardcore military drill sergeant. You took classes, you understood better. You're a better manager now. Now, I'm going to argue not everybody.
I'm a better manager. Now, let me understand. Let me set this clear. We're not talking about EMS management. We're talking about frontline entry level day one paramedic. That's what we're talking about. And the problem I have with wanting to require degrees, another problem is that whenever I go to that college and I sit down and I look at, okay, it's going to cost me $50,000+ to become a paramedic. And I'm going to make $18 an hour, maybe 20 if I work in Atlanta.
That'll come around 45 to 50,000 a year.
Yeah. Or I can be a nurse and I can make $35 to $45 an hour with the same amount of time.
Training, yeah. Same amount of time training, yeah.
Same amount of time.
Of time. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Same amount of time. It's 2 to 4 years because I can go to school as an associate nurse or I can go to school as a bachelor nurse and do the, whichever one. And the difference in pay between an associate's degree nurse and a bachelor's degree nurse is none. It's the same. It's if you want to get into management, you got to have a bachelor's degree.
So Brent, nursing requires education. Now, see, Brent, this is where things get off because they require some A&P. We get A&P in paramedic school. Now, my paramedic school was not recommended to anybody. I did it in 6 months. But the paramedic school nowadays is 18 to 24 months of time. And I know you go through the same A&P.
It's the exact same A&P 1 and 2.
Exactly. Maths, everything.
Math, college level math.
I'm going to put it up just to call it about. I unless you can show me something different I'm not aware of, nursing education and paramedic education nowadays are on par. And honestly, even my 6 months medication, I needed medication going through it that fast.
And Brent's saying that his topic here is I think the idea is to increase education, to increase medic pay.
So he's saying nurses get more because it is education that he thinks medics will bump up. I'm sorry.
I don't think so.
I'm sorry. He was comparing it to nurses get education or it's recognized education. They get paid more. I mean, when I went from the truck at Newton to the ER at Newton, right? And I talked to all the nurses. I was like, okay, what can you do? What makes you special? Wanting to know, why are we different? Ultimately, we weren't. When we compared notes on education level, actual education, we came out knowing basically the same thing. They had to memorize a few more drugs, but we came out essentially knowing the same thing. I at Newton was getting paid in the ER, and there's a weird schedule of 36 hours a week. I was getting $18 an hour. And nurses out of school, now that was qualified. That was years of service. Nurses out of school, not knowing anything, we could come into the ER and make $22 to $23 an hour already. I'm like, but I'm allowed to do ACLS in the hospital because of my paramedic numbers. They're not. So they actually have to call somebody and stare at them. They can do CPR, BLS, but they can't, even though they're trained to intubate and all the same ACLS protocols, they're not allowed to use it. It's weird. I'm going to say this before, I get yelled down because I know you guys are probably going to disagree. We need to nuke the system. We need to nuke the system.
I'm with you.
Over from scratch.
I'm with you.
It's all viewed.
Nuke it. I think it needs to be nuked as well. You've heard me say that. I think the bureaucracy is too big. It's too convoluted. There's too many rules, especially when you start talking about zoning and everything else. That's a different topic for a different day. But but the thing is, education has changed. That's something I don't think people understand. And that's why I keep saying people are gaslighted, because there was a day whenever you could become a paramedic in no time. Now it's very difficult to do that. There are some programs that are really fast paced, but it's still, the hours are still there. You know,
I had to do
say,
60. I had to do 60 hours broken down in certain rotations on before I could graduate paramedic school. Now it's 220 something hours. So
I love what Dan just said.
All right, Dan says only experience, willingness to be humbled, and a desire to learn will make someone a better paramedic. Agree or not? I agree with that fully. And I'm gonna throw this to you, Douglas, because you keep working on your other sites or whatever you're working on. So I'm gonna get you back in the conversation. How many people go from that Hero to Zero program, come out with a paramedic degree? Even
you said hero to zero.
I know what I said. I said it appropriately.
Because they think they're heroes in the beginning, and then they find out
come out knowing nothing. They've done no experience. They went through EMT. Now it'd be EMT advanced, and then paramedic, and then they hit the streets. But they have a degree. That does not make it. Does that make them a better medic?
Put them with a good EMT, please.
You can't learn tactical skills in a classroom.
Nope.
You can learn character. You can learn
foundational skills.
Yeah, you can develop mentally in a classroom, but you cannot develop tactical skills in a classroom.
Okay, both of you guys have gotten major degrees. Tell me there was not somebody in your class that maybe didn't graduate or graduate at the bottom of your class that did not develop mental skills. They were out.
Exactly. I know.
But if they graduated, they got the same degree you have. Saying, we can't hang it on one thing. We cannot hang it on one thing, right?
Nope. And that's why, like, the system needs to be fixed. Requiring Brent to go out and get a $50,000 degree so he can make $18 an hour is only going to disenfranchise him to the point where he's going to get tired of doing that, and he's going to go find another job doing something else so he can pay his student loans.
Yeah. I mean, and brought up a point earlier, and I'm not going to scroll up and find it and put it on the screen, but he brought up the point about, of course, the essential services, which may or may not change things for us. And it could. If it made essentials, if you made an essential service, then perhaps more avenues, like with fire, we've got the insurance, and counties are like, well, if this is essential, you got to help.
That means the counties have to pay for it. That means their counties are required. Like right now, Newton County, the county's not paying for the EMS service at all. And there's a lot of counties that don't pay for it. Like they just say, they get a private service. Yeah, here, you can run it. And whatever you make, but we're not paying you anything.
Yep. No. South Fulton has no stipend, no anything. You just got to figure it out. But I was saying possibly in a theoretical perfect world, if you made it essential like fire, then maybe new avenues would appear that we would not even consider nowadays, that the government won't consider. That, okay, so fire, correct me if I'm wrong, Douglas, fire is funded by insurance, right? People in the county pay insurance, and that helps fund the fire departments. No? Ish?
Not for me. There is a premium on property insurance. So if you own a house and you pay insurance on your house, part of that insurance goes to an insurance premium tax. It comes back to any local organized government, so a county government or a city government. The city government can use that for a police department, not a sheriff, but a police department, sewer, water, sidewalks, street lights, a tax reduction. And so Oglethorpe County uses it as a tax reduction.
Okay. So maybe new opportunities wouldn't show up. So I don't know if essential fix it, but the other point he did make, that Dan did make, was we have to find a way that people aren't having to work 2 and 3 jobs to keep things afloat. You know, that I lived in Jasper County. That's the only reason I went to work for Jasper County. Was because I lived there, and I said, I want to serve my community close to home. And it made me a better employee. They paid me what they could pay me. I'm not ever going to fault Ed Westbrook for what he paid me because his hands were tied. And I chose. And that goes back to that first statement of we knew what we're signing up for. Well, partially you do. You should know what you're getting paid, and you should make your decisions based on that and everything else that you need. Now, I lived in the county. I took $10 an hour as a paramedic, and I started at like 10, 12 an hour and went up to 10.25 before I ended up leaving. But I also could walk to the station. So my agreement with him was only put me at the Lake Station because it is less than a mile from my house. It's going to save me gas money. I can walk there when the weather's nice. All that stuff. So but I served, man. I refused to shut down trucks because my family lived in that county. I was like, no, we got to bring up the standard. It's not about the pay necessarily as it is about the standard sometimes, but I knew I was getting into. If you want to serve in your community, Douglas, can you tell me what the base pay for Oglethorpe County EMSA is? You know?
I have no idea.
Because you get paid, you don't get paid. You're like, no, I opt out. I'm a federal employee. I'll do it for free. Whatever. I'm going to guess, being a rural county, that they probably fall into that median to low range. So 12 to 13, probably for an A, 14 to 15 for a medic, maybe higher, you think?
No, I don't think it's that high.
$1, Bob, $1. I'm bidding $1. So it's lower. It's lower. All right. So the idea, I'm letting Tom's handling a good discussion in the chat. We should be here live on
Yeah.
Let me throw that up real quick for everybody who can see the video. And you can find the video on youtube.com/EMS Underground. You can find no, that's not right. That's the wrong link altogether. It should be youtube.com/Georgia Institute of EMS. And you can find the live version on facebook.com/Georgia.
So I was talking about tuition, because I was challenged like, oh, why is it $50K? It's because college tuition is about 10 to 12 grand a year everywhere. And it's that way because of Hope. And yeah, some people do have Hope scholarship, but not everybody. If you're over 24 years old, you're not going to get Hope anymore.
I never had any hope.
Yeah, I still have no hope. And then the comment was, why UGA? Why not Liberty University or Grand Canyon U? Well, what's the tuition at Liberty or Grand Canyon a year? I think
he's saying about 10 to 12 is what I thought. It's probably where he's referencing that 10. And you talk about UGA. So yeah, there's a discussion. And honestly, come out live most Wednesdays, and we try to announce it when we don't. But Facebook.com/Georgia Institute of EMS is where we do it live. Come be a part of the discussion. Get your argument in. But if you want to serve in your county that's paying as a medic $13 to $15 an hour, which is really low, and you can absolutely go to a non-emergency service and get 20. You can go to a 911 service and get 18 to 20 with any kind of experience at all. You can really get more. Then that's hurting the counties. It's hurting other counties, right? We have to find that way of say, okay, I'm not going to come here and serve for little money and then work a second job. And now I'm exhausted. I sacrifice time with my family. We have to take what people don't understand. What I feel like people miss is there's so much sacrifice that goes into being a part of this job. And in the rural, slower counties, you're talking about 24-hour shifts. And if I have to do that and then pick up another shift the next day, that's 36 hours I'm away from my family. Who knows about the sleep, right? And that's not even a topic we're going to jump into here. If I'm working another rural area or I pick up a 48-hour shift, that's 2 whole days I'm away from my family. I get 1 day at home to handle business, to be with my family, to do whatever I have to do when I'm not on the ambulance on the clock, and then turn around and go right back. We need to eliminate that, and that's what Dan was talking about, and I think better pay would. The third topic here.
Hold on a sec. I just got something I got to do because I'm in this, all right? I'm in the zone. I'm in the zone.
You don't sound educated.
Look, all right, so yeah, Liberty's $282 per credit hour there. So and the comment is made is if it's paper that means advancement, play the game and get your year's education online.
That's the system.
What the is the point?
That's my point, Tom.
That's my point. It's not. It's you. All right. So Brent, why don't you just come pay me all that money and I'll give you a piece of paper?
Because you're not accredited, Tom. You can't do it.
Okay.
You're working on it. I know working on it. But dude, I got my associates of business, and it has been, especially after COVID, it has less value as paper than toilet paper does.
Yeah.
You're the only person I know that has cared that I even have a degree at all. And
so what's the point for paramedics? I mean, that you're going to waste all that money?
I'm gonna argue for Brent's point, because right now the system that is way it's built, if David Newton, and it may not just be David, but if they require a degree, then you're playing a game, because the degree actually doesn't change what you do as a paramedic.
Doesn't change anything. So why are you going to get more money just because you got a piece of paper? The whole point of getting that piece of paper is to make you smarter so that you have more value. That is the only way you're going to get any more money in this field. That is the only way you're going to get any more money doing anything in your life, is if you can bring more value to the table. And if you can't bring any more value to the table, you're not going to get any more money.
But if people think that paper's value, they do pay for it now. They pay for it now. There's so many stupid jobs out there that was like, well, don't even apply if you don't have a degree. I'm like, I guarantee you, within a small
EMS doesn't pay for it.
Margin of error.
Nobody in EMS is going to pay for it. And I guarantee you, even if they come up and say, okay, a degree is required, they may bump the pay up 50 cents an hour. Okay.
And then what will happen is you'll have even less paramedics on the street. Because right now they're at the top of the pyramid, not because necessarily that paramedics are more important, because sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. Let's be real. I mean, there's been plenty of BLS calls I ran as a medic that anybody could have run. But we're at the top of the pyramid because of just the base. So many people enter EMT basic school and graduate, right? And then it gets narrower to those who go on to become AMTs and stay in the field even. But you lose some to attrition that leave the field, or they go on to become AMTs. And it becomes narrower. But then the medics are even smaller. And right now, we still have a shortage of medics out there. So you require a degree, but services are not paying for that degree. Then
nobody's paying
in on itself.
What service is out there paying for a degree for entry-level paramedic? They may require a degree for you to become in management. That only makes good common sense.
And then you could and there's people I know that are in high levels of power that have all kind of degrees, and then you look at their resume like, I don't really remember you being in the field at that point. I've known everybody in the field at that point. You weren't really a known person, and so they've basically done admin all their life, and that is who will land as the showrunner for Newton, for I don't know about the cab, but for a lot of these services out there. Nothing is Mike Luna. I loved Mike Luna, but when I met him, he had been an admin for so long. I was like, he didn't even have paramedic behind his name. I think he was an EMT, but he had a degree in something, and he was actually a decent boss to work for, and he trusted people like you, Tom, to really bridge that gap between what you know on the street and what the admin has to have done. So he was good. I liked him, but I went, wait, you're not even a medic and I'm working for you? That's BS, because I was an asshole back then. I'm a much nicer person now. So the degree is going to be a big topic for a long time. But let's get into this last point here. We can go long, but we only have a few minutes left, more or less. EMS needs to give up the lifesaver label.
I agree with that.
I fully agree with that. What about you, Douglas? Are you a hero, Douglas? Are you a hero? Thank you for your service, sir.
Where's my discount? I saved a life today.
Well, but what do you think about that, Douglas? EMS needs to give up the lifesaver label, which I would tack on the hero label as well.
Yeah, if you want to be in this service for glory, then you're going to cause yourself more grief, and you're going to cause the people you work with more grief looking for glory than you are doing the job, because you're going to get frustrated with the mundane stuff. You're going to get complacent with the calls that end up being the majority of the calls. And so ultimately your patient care is going to suffer, because you're like, this is not glorious. You've got a stomach ache. So what?
No, getting vomited and pooped on is not glorious. Forget the stomach ache. I'll take that all day. I made you feel better. I rub your belly. It's okay. But getting vomited and pooped on is like, nah, I don't get paid enough for this job. I'm out, man. And I would dare say, I want to throw it to both of you guys. I don't think EMS is taking on the lifesaver label. I don't think EMS is mostly even taking on the hero label. I think that's been outside people putting it on to EMS, because I learned really quick as a paramedic, we don't save lives a lot of the times. Now, sometimes we'll stabilize, and that's what we teach at our school. we don't talk about saving lives. Although Tom has his, you can't save everybody's rule number 1. Rule number 2 is refer back to rule number 1, and we try as hard as we can, so on and so forth. That Fight Club was rule number 2. Sorry, rule number 2 for EMS was, but we try as hard as we can to fight off death.
You're not supposed to talk about it.
You're right. I messed up. That's the thing is I think for the most part, we teach stabilization, and everybody can stabilize from EMT on up to paramedic. Paramedics just have more skills, more knowledge, and more resources at hand, hopefully, depending on the situation, to stabilize. But even doctors, we'll get them to the ER, they'll stabilize them. Then they go to the ICU or to surgery. So it is a chain of survival, as is mentioned in the video we're going to play at the end of this. It is a whole chain that gets put together. I got to tell you guys, I've hated from day one when people started, when COVID hit and people started doing campaigns about the heroes, and they're showing EMS and nurses and doctors. And no. Yeah. We chose a profession that puts us more at risk. But just because you joined the military doesn't make you a hero. Just because you died, abroad doesn't make you a hero. Your life, what you did with your life, can make you a hero, make you a lifesaver, make you whatever. I think I don't, unless you can tell me somebody different. Most of the people I associate with, we don't even talk about the lifesaver label. And honestly, I've had patients go, or a family of members of patients even go, man, it takes a special person to do what you do. I'm like, not to me.
Not
to me,
really.
it takes a special person to be a kindergarten teacher, because I want to kill all those little dudes.
You know who the heroes are?
Nobody really, but who?
No, they are heroes. Heroes are the people who are walking down the street and they don't have to do anything, but they within themselves take the time and calm their nerves, and they step up to the plate to do it. That it is the single mom walking down the street and somebody passes out and she runs up to them and starts CPR, and she doesn't even know them or anything. That's the hero. Okay. We're not that. It's our job to do that. It's our job to get up. And if you go back to what we said in the beginning, that's what you should have been told that you're getting into. Yeah. That this is your job to do. And just because you get up and you go do your job and you work a cardiac arrest and you save a life, that doesn't make you a hero, because I've seen it in my career. So
I did not touch the mute button. I've been known to do. There you go.
Yeah,
you broke up for a second. What have you seen in your career?
I've seen Jack Legs go out and work cardiac arrest and F it all up. It is just all screwed up. And it's like, how the heck did that person survive? But they did. So they still survive. And then there's been times when somebody's gone out and they did everything perfect, and that patient still did not make it.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens. Are we losing Charles?
No. What? Are you breaking up? No.
Can you hear me, Doug?
I can hear you.
There he is. Just take a break, why don't you, Charles?
I think it's your internet, sir. You've messed something up.
It was you.
No.
It was yours. Me and Douglas been going.
But
But it is your job. You're supposed to do that. You're not going out of your way to do anything. The people who go out of their way, those are the heroes. That's doing this. I like thinking, like right now, the pandemic going on, the people who volunteered to stay at home, versus there's people that have, or there's people that has. It's not mine. It wasn't mine. It was his. So, but you've got people who, and by the way, I have 3 degrees. So, and it didn't do me any good on the ambulance. That's why I got off the ambulance. But anyway, the heroes to me are the ones that went to the grocery store and volunteered to bring food to people who were quarantined for COVID because they were high risk, and they took the risk. Those are heroes to me, because they didn't have to do that. Can an EMT or firefighter be a hero? Yeah, they can. I'm not saying you can't be, but we don't. You know what? We walk around and we got like this thing on our chest, like,
yeah,
be hero. I'm the hero.
You know what?
You know? No,
On that point,
you're
on
a
that
guy
point,
or you're
exactly.
a gal.
On that point, we need to take out the word deserve. We need to take out that mentality of I don't get paid enough for this job. You should have known that going in. You should have known. I mean, honestly, if when you do the interview process,
But
if
that
you don't,
doesn't mean that
you're
you
not going to
can't
get the money.
strive for more. You know, that's
Exactly.
why I'm like, I'm okay. Like, look, I support college degrees. I have 3 of them. And that's how I got where I'm at and how I do and what I'm doing. I support them. But what I'm worried about is the 20-year-old coming into this field and getting bombarded with student loan debt to do a job at $18 an hour. That's what I'm worried about. Have a clear pathway. Make a pathway first. Say, okay, hey, look, we want y'all to have degrees, but in lieu of you getting degrees, we're going to ensure that you're going to have a good wage, that you're going to have a good career, that you're going to have a career path, that there's going to be wages for you to make so that it offsets your student loan debt.
I'm going to say that ultimately you make your own way in this life and nobody deserves anything. This in theory, this country rewards self-starters, those who go and get their own thing. I have honestly never hit a point in my life where I wasn't making some kind of money. I had to hustle somewhere. But as far as being a medic, as far as being that, Douglas, I'm going to use your story and I'm going to tell it for you because you tell it slowly and I don't want to talk slowly right now. But Douglas actually educated me a long time ago. He said the difference between government work and civilian work. He said in government work, you come in at the lowest possible dollar. And because I think you started your job this a long time ago, but you started and you're making less than I was as an EMT. I'm like, dude, I didn't think anybody can make less than I made as an EMT, as a paramedic, whatever. But you're like, yeah, but here's the thing with the government work, they get you at lowest common dollar as they can get you, but there's these mapped out for you is what you're going to make. And even if you don't aspire to do any better than you're doing, you know, at this many years, you're going to make this much money. But then if you do aspire, you can move up, you can get promotions, but that's it. And so you stay where you are as far as like your job and you aspire inside the Quotey Fingers company to move up. Where civilian life, they pay the whatever they have to pay you to get you in that door. And then the only way to actually really make more money significantly is to leave and go to a different place and bounce around from job to job to job. And that's what I'm going to say is where we are. That's also not EMS. That's all civilian life. But Brent, you want to get into management and you don't want a degree, I guarantee you get the experience, you get the reputation. You then shop other jobs and you can become management easily. Yep. Same with being a medic. I had to make money. I had to leave wherever I was. I was happy. And I'll call them out because this was 15 years ago, easy. That I was at National EMS. I loved National EMS, but I could not get a decent raise to save my life. They paid well under what everybody paid around us at the time. And it was well known. And I was like, I have to leave to go make money to actually support my family. Or I have to get a second job, which I was.
And if we're going to require degrees, you shouldn't have to do that. You know, that's what I'm trying to say. If you want us to have degrees, then that means that I shouldn't have to work 2 and 3 extra jobs to make ends meet.
I think
that's what we got to get out of. You want to fix EMS, that's the first things we need to be looking at. Look, we got people dying driving home from work because they're working too many dang hours.
Yeah. I think, and Douglas, want to hear your thoughts on this. I think that all public safety, fire, police, EMS needs to go to that government structure of, and I think a lot of fire actually already
or
does
at least
that.
the structure. Yeah.
Or a structure. But I think a lot
some kind of career building structure. Yeah.
Because fire has that. Fire says you start at this low wage. And it's, this again, years ago, Rockdale Fire was talking to me. They were talking about putting up ALS trucks. I was like, I would love to jump over and do that. Well, you have to start at $18,000 a year as a firefighter. And they didn't put up ALS trucks, but and I think I would have been able to jumped over that had they did it. But like, if you want to just do fire, you start at 18 grand as a rookie, no matter what your experience is. If it's not fire experience, which mine wasn't. But then you have these levels. You can become an engineer, you can become a captain, you can become assistant chief. And there's that system that doesn't make it a dead end job. And we have to, I don't know, we got to do something. So yeah. Let me pull up the screen or pull up this tab rather so I can share it. And we're going to play the video that started all this out. So this is Fire Department Chronicles, and this is the video that spawned the whole talk today. Let me turn up the volume, and here we go.
You know, the one thing that I was excited about when I got into the EMS and firefighting career was the thought of brotherhood. Coming together as one unit to always support each other no matter what. And then I came across a wonderful article called 5 Reasons Why EMS Doesn't Deserve Higher Pay. So let's find out what happened when Sean woke up on the wrong side of the bed and decided to give the old heave-ho to his brothers and sisters in this wonderfully written article. Number 1, we don't deserve anything. We signed up for the job. We knew what we were getting into, and we understood the pay that we were getting coming in. You see, the problem is when you're painting this picture, you're making it sound like we walked in day one and said, "Hey, Jim, welcome to your first day."
Yeah, that's nice. Listen, I'm not getting on that truck unless you give me $3 more an hour
Right
now.
now.
But in reality, it's the people that have actually put time and effort into their jobs, perfecting their craft of being an EMT or paramedic, showing loyalty to the jobs of the companies that they work for, and all they're asking for is a livable wage that'll help combat increases in things like insurance costs, costs of living, and maybe help them put that thing called food on their families' tables. But instead, they're met with excuses and really asinine articles like this. Number 2, we need higher educational standards. And what I love about this little piece is you compare us to burgers and then tell us that we need to produce a better product. Now, the one question I have is, are we the burgers or are the patients the burgers? Because if we need
I want a hamburger now.
patients to get more pay, I'm going to be having some interesting conversations here in the future.
How bad is it?
Well, your heart rate's 180 right now, but I've been eyeing this new sweet sports car. So could you hold your breath and bump it up to 220 so I can get that fat pay raise? Maybe people don't want to get a higher education level because they're pretty much almost guaranteed to not make any money to compensate for that. So I know this is one of those double-edged swords, but I promise you, if companies offered to pay more money for people coming on, they'd probably be a little more willing to shell out more money in school, knowing that they're not going to be making $9 an hour working 6 other jobs. And the pièce de resistance of this crap of an article is when you say that EMS needs to give up the lifesaver label because we didn't create the protocols or do the medical research prior to getting on the job. That's like saying a mechanic doesn't repair vehicles because he didn't invent the wrench. You see, we're all part of that really long chain of survival, and if one of those links pop out, then the patient dies, because if we don't get him to the hospital, they die. If we get him to the hospital and the doctor's a moron, they die. If we get him to the hospital, not a moron, but the nurse gives them the wrong amount of medication, they die. And remember, the next time you want to call someone a child for having a hero-like mindset, remember, the only thing that's keeping them coming to that job every day and sitting their butt in that seat, missing holidays and special time with their family, going on little to no sleep.
And I agree with that.
And fast food in their body that any human should ever have is the love for their family, and the fact that every day that they get home, they get to stare at themselves in the mirror and be proud of the person that they became, which is most likely that childhood dream of becoming a hero and a lifesaver.
Try to catch me howling at the moon.
Oh man, he's posted a lot of great things.
Yeah, he has.
But that's where that spawned it out. He says it well there, and very funny. But yeah, it's there's so much more. I mean, I wanted to get into, maybe there should be an age requirement for EMS, but that's gonna be a whole nother topic about, you know, how young people start in the field and this and that and the other. But whoo, man, Tom, I know you don't feel like you said enough, but I think that's gonna be it for today.
You know, I think we got it. I think we did it. I will be ready to receive my Emmy Award for today for Best Educational Podcast.
I'm just going to remove him from the broadcast at this point. He is such a diva.
I'd like to thank everyone.
He's still going. Oh no, I'm going to cut him out again. But speaking of where you can find us, facebook.com/Georgia Institute of EMS.
Come visit us.
Absolutely. And I'm going to edit that for next week. But YouTube, we also broadcast live to YouTube, so you can chat there if that's your thing. You can watch the video after the fact. I mean, this is saved on Facebook, but YouTube is arguably easier to find the videos on that. So you can go to YouTube. Anchor.fm/EMS Underground is where you find the podcast, the audio-only version that you can enjoy in your car, because I do not recommend watching videos in your car. So yeah, it's EMS
Really?
Underground on all the podcatchers, or you can go directly to anchor.fm
can't
and
do
find your
that?
link. No, Tom. No. You can also find
Go ahead,
what
Tom.
we do.
Go ahead, Tom.
That's like, dude, that's against the law in Georgia. Facebook.com/VFFGA.
I don't
I do
have
this
a rubber
just here.
band.
Douglas is Victor, Frank, Foxtrot,
Oh, stop.
Georgia, Apple. It's
Golf Alpha. Victor, Foxtrot, Golf Alpha.
Trigger so many
Alpha.
people.
Now you got me saying Apple.
I trigger people so many times with that. I love it. But yeah, you can tune in each week. Let us know what you want to talk about, what you want to hear about. Why am I not getting volume? There we are. You can email me directly, charles@gaiems.com. Let me know there.
Hit
If
him
you
up.
don't want me to mention you, but mention the topic, I'll keep you off the record. I'm still waiting on some awesome stuff, hopefully, about Grady and the top. Whoa, crap, that went way up on me. All right, I guess that's the time we're being played out. Bye.
Bye, y'all.